Hello, fellow duelists. This is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated deck profile of my Harpie Lady deck for the GOAT format. So yes, this is going to be an updated deck profile of my Harpie Lady deck when I'm playing with the GOAT format. And I did change a few things around here. I added in more of a warrior engine, kind of like a toolbox, and to take time and to consider that I actually think that the whole warrior engine should always be implemented because it's a very good strategy. I mean, adding 2 reinforcement of the armies and then like DD Assailant, Exile Force, and DD Warrior Lady can give you the edge because it can help you search for those necessary cards in case your opponent has Thousand Eyes Restrict and also has like Blackluster Soldier. So yeah, BLS and Restrict are not a problem anymore in this deck. So keep in mind just that this is going to be more of a mid-range deck. This is not like incredibly aggressive. It can be aggressive under certain circumstances, but for the most part, the object is to make sure that your opponent does not have a back row and make sure that they're not able to play any spells and traps and just kind of overwhelm them with a lot of your one monsters and that you've been able to power them up. And that's what I love about the Harpie Lady archetype is that you can power up using Harpie Lady 1's effect. You can power up Harpie monster or wind monsters by 300 points. So it does give them a little bit of a power point boost. And also, I do have Harpie Sun Ground in here still because that does destroy and spell and traps. Most GOAT players, though, know that they won't be setting more than like 1 or 2 spell and traps like in the back row. So it won't be that much of a big deal. But without any further ado, without me rambling, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first off, we're going to have 3 copies of your Harpie Lady 1. Harpie Lady 1 is the best card in this deck because it does make the deck. So, Harpie Lady 1 is just a monster that increases the attack of all one monsters by 300 points, and it is searchable with Flying Kamakiri and Birdface. The reason I'm not playing Cyber Slash is because Cyber Slash can't really be searched except with Birdface, and I don't want to go that route. And the other 2 Harpie cards don't really have they have good effects, but they're not that good. So I kind of limit it to just using this because they are the wind monsters. And this deck is pretty much nothing but wind, like for the actual main one. And then 2 copies of Harpie Lady Sisters. Essentially, this is gonna just be a kind of like a beat stick. This is your beat stick, and it's like a it's an effect monster, but it's not because it just all it has is a summoning condition. Where if you just use Elganigatus, because it can't be a special summon unless you have Elganigatus, and you can use that to actually special summon it from the deck, which is actually very nifty. And then 2 copies of Birdface. Birdface is destroyed by monster, or when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add a Harpie Lady from your deck to your hand. So it does help fuel the Harpie archetype and kind of make it a little bit easier to special summon Harpie Lady Sisters. And then we have 2 Gird of the Wind Spirits. If you wanted to use, this is just for flavor, if you wanted to use Sylphid, because Sylphid actually has the discard effect and is 100 points higher. The reason I'm using this also is not only because it is a winged beast, but because with Harpie's Hunting Ground will give that 200 point boost, which essentially, if you have that and Harpie Lady 1 on the field, makes this actually higher than a Sylphid. So that's the reason why I actually do. It can actually beat over like Berserkerella and stuff. So, and then the main search of the deck, we've got 3 copies of Flying Kamakiri number 1. Okay, so Flying Kamakiri number 1 is the floater of the deck. It's like Mystic Tomato. It's like Mother Grizzly and all the other floaters that came out in Magic Ruler or Spell Ruler. So if you get destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can just special summon a wind monster with 1500 less attack from your deck and face up attack position. So you're going to be using that to special summon Harpie Lady 1. Alright, and then now that is 12, so we're going to be doing the non-Harpie cards. So obviously, Breaker the Magical Warrior, 2 pop spells and traps. It's a great card. Tribe Infecting Virus, because you discard a card and it acts as like a Raigeki or a Lightning Vortex. We have Sinister Serpent, which is the bestest card in the game. Basically, this is reused by the old rules, so you're going to be discarding it, and then it gets added back to the beginning of the stand phase, so it's very useful. And then finally, I'm going to be showing you my new updated Warrior Engine. So we've got 1 Exile Force, 1 DD Warrior Lady, and 1 DD Assailant. So very important in this format because this can help you get out a lot of the pesky like BLS, can help out Restrict, and help out cards like Blade Knight and all the other cards that are mandatory and that actually do kind of cause problems in the format. And I have tested it out before, and it works very well. I love the synergy with it, and that using Rhoda, because Rhoda can easily bring these back to the deck to the hand, and you can kind of use them as kind of like a resort if you need to, and kind of out the stuff that your opponent has. So that's going to be it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. It's going to be Elganigatus, 3 copies. You got to have 3 copies if you're playing a Harpie Lady deck, obviously, because it's going to help you search out and special summon your Harpie monsters. And then 3 copies of Harpie's Hunting Ground. So Like I said before, Harpie's Hunting Ground is a great tech card in this deck because it allows you to destroy your opponent's spells and traps and destroys your back row. Unfortunately, if you do not have a target for Harpie's Hunting Ground, you will be destroying itself, so that is the only downside to it. But like I said, most Ghost players, you don't really have that much special summoning, like the ability to special summon a whole lot, except for using Elegant Egotist anyways. So that's the only reason that you would play it. Just make sure that you time it right. And if you feel like putting maybe a Rising Air Current in here or something, you totally can, because that's another option. Kind of make it more of a beatdown. And then obviously we have the Holy Trinity. We've got Delinquent Duo, we've got Pot of Greed, and we've got Graceful Charity. Those are the best cards on the format to be able to actually draw stuff, draw two, and then kind of get rid of something in your opponent's hand. And then we have two Rhodas, Reinforcement of the Army. Reinforcement's a great tech card in this deck. Add the DD Assailant, Exile Force, and DD Warrior Lady from your deck to your hand. And then we have two Knock, Nobleowner Cross. That's actually very useful because it destroys. And I did have Harpie Lady 2 in this deck, which predominantly did the same thing. I just took it out because, honestly, I like having the spell. And also, I like the ability to being able to not clog up my normal summon, because you only are allowed to normal summon once per turn anyways. And then we have one MST and one Heavy Storm. This is kind of help out to destroy the spells and traps on your opponent's side of the field. And then lastly, we've got one Snatch Steal, one of the best cards in the game. If you wanted to run Creature Swap, that's an option. Creature Swap is very good, especially with using Flying Commentary's effect, because you get to add and you get to special summon that monster to your side of the field if you destroy the Flying Commentary, and obviously they're not going to. And then we're going to have next are going to be the traps. So we've got just 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. I thought Solemn Judgment was the best choice in this deck. Solemn Judgment works very well because you are going to need to be able to get your opponent's summons. And the life point resource isn't that big of a deal anymore, because a lot of GOAT players play a lot more aggressively now. Before, when this GOAT was introduced and everything, and before that, a lot of GOAT players still played more control. The biggest thing was Thousand Eyes Restrict, and you can kind of see the power shift come in. You're getting more aggressive players throughout the years, and it shows, because a lot of the deck strategies are having more offensive cards like Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, 3 copies of the Solemn Judgment, and then like cards that kind of can stop your opponent from doing anything. So yeah, you see it's kind of the meta has shifted actually quite a bit, and that's really good, and it shows like a really healthy game, even in the GOAT format, where the card pool is somewhat limited because it only goes up to 2005, but I mean, that shows you how well it is. And then lastly, enough of me about rambling, you've got Torrential Tribute and Ring of Destruction and Mirror Force, obviously the best battle traps in the game. If you wanted to add Sakuretsu Armor, that's an option, or Compulse, that is another option as well. I just like having the 3 because that's all you need in this deck anyways. You've got a lot of ways to out what your opponent has. Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it. This is a very fun deck. I love the strategy behind it. I love the idea that it's a mid-range deck, but can also be aggressive when it has to be. And you can change some things around if you'd like. If you wanted to have maybe Lady Ninja Yay in there, or if you wanted to have Sylphie, like I had mentioned before, maybe up another bird face, you totally can. And so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and with that, see you guys next time. Later.